I know a lot of you guys have some bad habits. Some of you guys got some fucking disgusting habits, gross shit you afraid to say out loud or admit to yourself, man. Be crying in the mirror after you do some of this shit, you know? And you want to learn how to break your bad habits. And you want to replace those bad habits with good habits, habits that will be advantageous and propel you towards the advancement of your goals. In this video, I'm going to break down a strategy you can implement immediately to help build better habits and to decrease the likelihood of you engaging in those bad habits so you can finally have some respect for yourself, man. Bad habits are fucking up your self-esteem because you know some shit you're not supposed to do, but you do it anyway. You hate yourself a little bit, you're ashamed of yourself and shit. That ain't helping you accomplish nothing. So in this video, I'm going to break down a foolproof plan for you to actually build better habits, make it easier for you to build better habits, and make it harder for you to engage in those bullshit habits that are fucking up your life and embarrassing you, your family, and your legacy. We live in a world of convenience, instant gratification. Technologies and modern living have made it easier for us to fall into bad habits and made it a lot more difficult for us to form good habits. This causes a tug of war between instant gratification, things we want right now, and our greatest aspirations, the things that are going to help us long term. Typically, things that feel good in the moment are usually things that are going to be bad for you long term, and things that don't feel good in the moment are usually good for you long term. For example, I never did heroin. I never shot up heroin. It seems like something that the junkies get a lot of gratification for while they're indulging in that activity. But typically, I hate to make broad generalizations, but typically heroin usage is bad for your long-term results and your long-term livelihood. Maybe your habits aren't as bad as shooting up heroin in the alley. It may be something as simple as mindless scrolling through social media, indulging in unhealthy snacks, making you fat and gross. It could be procrastinating, slacking on important tasks. Breaking these bad habits can pose a significant challenge for most people. But fear not, at the heart of this epic struggle lies a secret weapon, the formidable power of friction. I'm going to show you how to utilize friction and wield this power as an ally to help you shape good habits and help you stop those bad habits that you've been indulging in. By strategically introducing friction into your daily routine, you can break bad habits and accelerate the adoption of good ones. I don't know if any of you guys have ever held a firearm, but on the firearm, the handle, the grip, they're usually not smooth, right? Why is it not smooth? Because we don't want that firearm to slip out of your hands and, you know, bullets go everywhere, right? The friction allows the firearm to stay in place. Probably a better example would be, let's say you're driving. I'm gonna draw a car. Let's say you're driving down the road, you're trying to get to a destination. You ever drive over some shit or like a speed bump or something? And what does that do? The speed bump is meant to slow you down, right? So you don't go all super fast. Then you go over the speed bump, and then you can go around your speed, right? They put these speed bumps in the road in order to slow you down. This is a form of friction, right? Making it more difficult to go down the path, right? You may be thinking, Brandon, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Fucking roads, cars, handguns. What's this got to do with me getting this money? Check me out. I'm going to play you a little clip from the homie Jeff Bezos, where he talked about friction.
If you want to do more of something, make the friction less. If you want to do less of something, make the friction more. If there's a particular snack food that you like a lot and it's making you fat, put it on the top shelf where it's harder to get to, and you'll eat less of it. So you know, don't leave it on your kitchen counter.
I know that looks like a white man from the future, but that's actually present day Jeff Bezos, the second or third richest man in the world. And these motherfuckers at Amazon, the company he owns, they utilize friction better than almost any company you've ever seen. Let me explain. If you ever go to Amazon and let's say you want to buy something, let's say I want to buy this MacBook. All I gotta do is click on it and I can just hit here, buy now. I could add it to a cart or I can just buy now. That wasn't always there. With this, the reason they put this here is because it reduces friction, right? So just like this car example, if this friction is not here, you'll move faster. Because they introduce friction, it slows you down. When they put this buy button here for a fucking reason, you could add a bunch of shit to your car or you could just hit buy right now, right? This is Amazon reducing friction to make it easier for you to buy so they can extract money from your motherfucking wallet more consistently. That was the first time I saw them introduce it, but then they took it to a whole nother level. For example, this is some shit that I fucking purchased 10 times. I fucking drink this shit all the time. It's Keto Aid. It tastes like fucking garbage. You know what I'm saying? It's like fucking garbage. I'm not that really familiar with gorilla piss, but I imagine this is what gorilla piss would probably fucking smell like or taste like, right? It's gross, but it gives you a ton of energy. Anyway, Amazon wants you to subscribe and save, right? They want you to subscribe to this shit. Now check this out. So what they want us to subscribe to it, right? So instead of putting the buy one time button here, what these motherfuckers do, man? What these motherfuckers do? They put the fucking set up subscribe and save. Instead of like adding it to the cart, they make subscribe and save the easy option, right? The easy option, I just put in subscribe and save, right? Because they don't want me to purchase it once. They want me to subscribe. What do? They add friction. I got to put it here. You know what I'm saying? To do this. But if I want to subscribe and save, all right, cool. I subscribe to the shit. Cool. They're reducing friction. Have you ever tried to cancel a subscribe and save? It's not that easy. I'm not even sure how you do it. I mean, I've done it before, but it's like a fucking complex ordeal. It's a fucking series of trials and series of web pages. And then when you see the cancel subscribe, it's super fucking small on the page. Amazon wants to decrease friction on the things they want you to do more of, right? Like subscribe to fucking goddamn anything. Actually being on subscribe and save is a way that they decrease the friction of you making purchases, right? Because if you hit subscribe and save, you're just gonna you're gonna buy that shit every month without doing nothing. It's like zero friction. But to cancel that shit is a ton of friction. So how do you apply this to your life? Let's say there's a good habit you want to cultivate, right? It's a good habit that you want to cultivate. You want to do it more, right? So what you need to do is figure out ways to decrease the friction. For example, let's say you want to get in the habit of working out every day, right? How could you decrease the friction when it comes to working out every morning, like first thing in the morning, right? Well, what you could do, set up your workout clothes, your shoes, mix up your pre-workout and leave it in the refrigerator the night before, right? So now all you got to do is put your shit on, chug your pre-workout and head out the door. So what you've done is in the morning when you don't want to do it, it's less friction than if you had to go find what to wear, mix the shit up, you know, you decrease the friction. It's way less friction when you set up the night before. Or for example, when we set up this podcast studio, I wanted no friction, like zero friction. Especially we're gonna be doing this shit twice a week. So instead of setting shit up and breaking it down fucking twice a week, I said, you know what? I'm gonna take everything out of this room and just make it a podcast studio. And we're gonna leave the fucking cameras running all the time. And we're not gonna use these cameras for anything else. All right, so we wanna film something else, don't touch these fucking cameras in here. Don't touch these lights in here. Don't touch the computers in here. Everything has to stay the same. Everything is just in here. So all I gotta do is sit down, yell at the camera. And that's all I have to do. There's like very little friction for me to do this podcast. But what if I had to fucking set shit up every time, set up the lights, set up the fucking cameras, put the computers, get the computers computing and all that other shit. That should be a goddamn nightmare. The key to good habit is to be prepared. So that's example. Like when I show up to the podcast, I'm just prepared, man. I know exactly what's gonna happen. All I gotta do is sit down. Be prepared. You know what I'm saying? Have shit set up in a way where it makes things easy for you. You know what I'm saying? Clear the path is what I'm trying to say. But also another thing you can do is fix your environment, right? You can alter your environment where there's a decrease in friction. For example, when I lived in New York, I was a member of a few different gyms, and one of the gyms I went to a lot was Crunch, right? But then I moved to the Upper West Side and there was no Crunch gym available, right? So now there's a lot of friction to get to the gym I want to get to. I had to take some mode of transportation, whether it's like a Uber or get on the subway or some shit like that. So instead, what I did was I got a more expensive membership at Equinox that was super close. It was on Broadway, and I could just walk over there, like 2 blocks away, and that just decreased the friction, right? So I altered my environment where it was easier for me to accomplish that goal. This is gonna help you cultivate these good habits. But then, what about the bad habits? With the bad habits, you want to increase friction, right? You want to increase friction on the bad habits. So one of my guilty pleasures is ice cream. Like if there's some ice cream in the house, I'm gonna eat it all. So what I do, there's no fucking ice cream in the house, right? It's more difficult for me to get it. Now, if I want ice cream, I gotta call Uber Eats or I gotta go outside and walk somewhere, right? I can still do that, right? But there's more friction, right? It's a lot more friction than just walking to the freezer, right? It's actually like a similar protocol, right? The environment. But also, you want to set up obstacles, kind of like the speed bump example, right? So let me give you an example from my phone, right? I don't want to waste time. I like to make moves and get money. I like to make sure the majority of my time is deployed against the acquisition of capital. So I don't want to waste my time doing bullshit, right? I did a few things on my phone. For one, on my cell phone, there's no social media app, right? Because I don't want to waste time on it. But I also made the shit gray, right? I took all the color out of it so it's like less appealing, right? And then of course I can still do the things if I want. I can figure it out, or I can download an app or some shit and then do it. But there's more friction there than if it's just at my disposal all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I set up friction on my phone so I don't use it as much, right? Now it's just a fucking text message device. All it does is order Uber Eats, Ubers, text people, calendar, the shit that will help me. The apps that will suck out all my time, social media and shit, fuck that shit. That's just not even on there. And so what you want to do is figure out what your bad habits are and set up obstacles to manage that, right? Obviously, you'll still be able to do it, right? But you just want to add friction to it. For example, my nephew, he has a problem gambling. He probably gambles too much, even though that's part of his business, sports gambling. This motherfucker will send the people that, pay him for coaching shit that he feels really good about, but he'll still do wild ass gambles because he's a fucking gambling addict, right? So I was like, yo, little bro, come here to Miami because online gambling is not legal here. This way you can give people the tips and everything, but you can't gamble, so you can't handle it. Now he can still do it. He'd have to send his bets to somebody back in Chicago, and they have to log into his fucking FanDuel and do the bet for him. But there's more friction there. It's way more friction than him actually just doing it on his phone. And as a result, he gambles less, right? He just told that guy who's in his account, hey, just to only gamble with the picks I send to the group, so I don't do that other wacky shit I was doing. It was fucking up the money. So he added friction, and as a result, he actually made money as opposed to fucking losing it on bullshit. It's the power of decreasing friction on the things you want to do more of and increasing friction on the things you want to do less of. So I want you to just make a list of all the good habits that you want to cultivate, and then figure out ways to decrease friction to make accomplishing them more likely. And then the things you want to abstain from, right? Make a list of them. Make a list of all these bad habits, and then think of ways where you can increase the friction to make it easier for you to abstain from these activities. And if you can do that, it'll be a lot easier for you to cultivate good habits and to mitigate bad habits. And if you don't believe that it works, just remember the example from Amazon and Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is one of the richest people in the world, and he said the same thing in the beginning of this video, right? And the reason I put that there, because a lot of times, shit I be saying, it's like fucking rock solid advice, but sometimes y'all don't believe it unless you hear like a white man say it. And I get that, man. Maybe, I understand. I'm a fucking guy in a tank top. I sound like a slave. I'm out here fucking yelling at the camera and shit, being all goofy, making jokes. That's why I wanted to put the white man in front of it, the rich white man say, because I know a lot of times y'all hold those opinions in way more higher regard. But look at how he runs his business, though. That's one of the most profitable businesses of all times. And you see how they strategically utilize friction in order to get you to do the things they want you to do, and in order to prevent you from doing the things they don't want you to do. It's super simple. If you don't believe it, try to cancel the fucking subscribe and save right now. It's a fucking nightmare. It's a maze. It's intricate maze. And then once you finally do find the button, it's not even a button. It's some text. It's not even lit up. It's small. It's not even a button, right? Subscribe and save is big as fuck. It's flashing is the first thing. But the cancel subscribe and save, it's not even a fucking button. It's just like text. And the shit is not even fucking a different color or nothing. It's just black text. It's so fucking, it's a nightmare. And that's why they're one of the most successful companies of all time, man. You implement the same strategy in your life and you'll be success. Finally. And you can stop having to watch fucking YouTube videos on how not to suck, right? Because you won't suck as much, man. That's my gift to you.